stuck here. The cops won't bother me.
I wanted to talk to you, Squids, about something that kind of annoys me. It's the cult of the expensive motorcycle. And I've ranted about this for quite some time. And expensive motorcycles are kind of getting on my nerves because it used to be bikes were, $10,000 tops for a brand new bike. And now, like, you're approaching mid-level prices for cars, and you're really not getting as much for it than you think. Now, I know that a lot of people have a lot of money, and this is how life works, but I usually give the examples of BMW. I've had a couple of BMWs, and they are terrible bikes. I know that there's quite a bit of old guys that really like the BMWs and they're hanging in there with them, but they're just terrible. I think the only BMWs that are worth getting are their four-cylinder engines. That's a GSXR something or other. And I like the four cylinders because at least they have the performance. But a BMW GS, a lot of magazines, I suspect, give it great reviews because the BMW just spend so much on marketing, and they do treat journalists well. And when this happens, that means that you get a little bit of a biased review. You get guys who are appeasing the makers by not saying anything bad, but that's why I like YouTubers, because you get to find out for sure what they think about bikes. And when you hear a long-term owner that didn't drink the Kool-Aid, then you really learn about BMW. And even their cars are extremely expensive brand new, and they drop like a rock in resale. Now, a BMW motorcycle does hold its value reasonably well, but you are paying what I think is a BMW tax of paying over what the bike is worth, and you're not getting much out of it. To me, there's a lot more dignity in buying a cheap bike and riding the living shit out of it than buying an expensive bike. And oh, that's an Africa Twin, the new one. I would like to buy one of those just because I have an old Africa Twin. And riders are a little bit odd because they don't let you ride their bikes. It's kind of odd. Well, anyway, yeah, I think there's a lot more dignity in riding a cheap bike. I kind of like the fact that I can go to a marketplace online, find a bike that people just are not interested in riding anymore. And there's so many cool bikes. The V-Strom is one of those. A FZ1 from Yamaha is another. The FJR 1300, like, you can get for $2,000. I mean, that's a missile. It's just, there's so many unbelievable bikes that, just because they're newer bikes out, doesn't mean that these bikes are bad. But that's how we're kind of brainwashed as consumers to think that once a new bike comes out, everything else becomes obsolete. But this is all by design, and I don't think you should fall for it. A lot of times we talk about how Amazon makes so much money and they don't pay taxes. You can vote with your money, but I do enjoy seeing new bikes come in and out, and it also keeps the price of these older bikes cheap for guys like me. So, it's a give and take sort of system here. Ridden with a lot of guys that have some great bikes, and there's something to be said about really great bikes, but when it comes to having just a basic bike, I think the riding with it is a little bit more pure. when I first started riding, I started out riding a KE 100 that I bought. Then I switched to like a Triumph Tiger from 1998, and then I bought an R1. And I've always enjoyed that KE 100. And I think because a lot of times when you begin to ride, you pick a very cheap bike that you don't mind dropping. But that KE 100, man, it felt good. It had a lot of great little qualities to it. I mean, this V-Strom is kind of a fancy bike for me, and I really enjoy it. It's very practical. I don't have to spend so much time in maintenance, and it's just one of those things that less maintenance, more riding. It's the same thing that I think about when I dark side of this bike. I would rather just ride that instead of like changing tires every 10,000 miles. Well, Squids, that's me. Well, Squids, that's me ranting again, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.